You have felt it, that specific kind of panic when someone texts back too slowly. The way a room changes when a certain person walks in. The way your brain replays one conversation for 3 days straight, searching for a mistake you might have made. Love feels deeply personal, modern, like something that belongs to you specifically. But here's the thing, that hunger in your chest, that attachment, that quiet terror of losing someone is not modern at all. It is ancient, older than language, older than civilization, older than any story anyone has ever told about it. So the real question is not what love feels like. The real question is this: where did it come from? And when exactly did the first human look at another human and feel it for the very first time? Start with the chemistry, because love, biologically, is not a mystery. It is a sequence. When you see someone you are attracted to, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical triggered by food, by danger, by winning. Your brain is treating that person like a reward, like something it needs more of. That is why early love feels like an addiction, because neurologically, it basically is one. Then comes oxytocin, released through touch, through eye contact, through physical closeness. Scientists call it the bonding chemical. It is the same hormone that floods a mother's brain the moment she holds her newborn, the same one that surges after physical intimacy. It wires two nervous systems together, makes one person feel like a biological necessity to another. And underneath all of it, vasopressin, a hormone linked to long-term attachment, to loyalty, to the part of love that is less fireworks and more, I just need to be near you, all the time, for no reason I can explain cleanly. That cocktail, dopamine, oxytocin, vasopressin, is not uniquely human. Scientists have found those same neurochemicals in rodents, in birds, in prairie voles, small, unremarkable creatures that choose one partner and stay with them for life. Love is not uniquely human. That is the first strange thing. But humans are different, and the difference is not in the chemistry, it is in the weight we give it. Prairie voles pair bond, certain seabirds mate for life, but they do not write songs about it. They do not carve their partner's face into stone thousands of years after they are gone. They do not lie awake at 3 a.m, wondering if the other person feels the same way. Only we do that. Only we turned a neurochemical bonding system into something we would leave everything for. Something we spend entire lives searching for and grieving when we lose it. And then there is the part no other animal experiences at all. Unrequited love, falling for someone who does not fall back. Feeling the full biological force of attachment with nothing returned on the other side. That serves no survival function. No other species does it. It is biologically expensive, emotionally catastrophic, and evolutionarily pointless. And yet here we are. That gap between the chemistry and the meaning is where the real question lives. Here is what we actually know about prehistoric love. About 10,000 years ago in a cave in Italy, archaeologists found two skeletons, a man and a woman, buried face to face, arms reaching toward each other, foreheads almost touching. Scientists call them the lovers of Valdaro. They were not the only ones. Burial sites across the ancient world show the same pattern: intentional burial. Flowers placed beside bodies, tools and ornaments left with the dead, acts that only make sense if you believe the person you lost still matters after they stop breathing. That is not survival behavior. That is grief. And grief is just love with nowhere left to go. But the evidence goes back much further. Anthropologists studying early Homo sapiens, our species as it existed 100,000 years ago, found signs of alloparenting. Adults caring for children that were not biologically theirs. Injured individuals kept alive inside their group, unable to hunt, unable to contribute, fed, and protected anyway. One such skeleton, found in northern Iraq, belonged to a man who had been blind, had lost one arm, and was severely arthritic. He survived for years in that condition. Someone chose to keep him alive. Someone made that decision again and again for years, when it cost them something. You do not do that for a stranger. You do not do that out of pure survival calculation. You do that for someone whose absence would cost you something real. So why did evolution build this into us? The leading theory is pair bonding for offspring survival. Human babies are the most helpless creatures born on this planet. A foal walks within an hour. A dolphin calf swims the moment it enters the water. A human infant cannot hold its own head up for months, cannot feed itself for years. Raising a human child to survival required sustained cooperation. 2 parents at minimum. A group that cared enough to keep showing up even when food was scarce and conditions were brutal. Love, in this theory, is evolution's answer to a logistics problem. Oxytocin made care feel good. Dopamine made closeness feel necessary. Vasopressin made certain individuals feel irreplaceable. And the cost of losing them, the grief, the pain, the disruption, that was intentional too. Evolution made the loss hurt precisely because attachment had to stick. You cannot build a species on a bond people walk away from easily. So it made leaving feel like injury. The ones who felt love more strongly, who stayed, who protected, who refused to abandon, raised more children to adulthood. Those children carried the same neurochemistry. Over thousands of generations, love became the expected setting. Love did not begin as poetry. It began as a survival strategy for the most helpless infant in nature. But that theory does not explain everything. If love exists purely for offspring survival, why do humans fall for people they will never have children with? Why do people grieve lost partners for years, long past any biological need? Why does rejection activate the same neural regions as physical pain? Neuroimaging studies are clear on this. A broken heart and a broken bone look nearly identical inside the brain. Evolution does not build systems that hurt this much unless they are doing something critical. Some researchers believe love served a second function entirely: social glue. Not just locking 2 parents together, but binding whole groups, creating loyalty networks that made early human tribes nearly impossible to break from outside. Every person you have ever loved has made you harder to kill. They became your reason to survive when instinct alone was not enough. And in a world with no medicine, no walls, no weapons beyond sharpened stone, another human who will fight for you, stay for you, refuse to leave you, is the single most valuable thing you can possess. Love may be how early humans first learned to trust strangers, how small family groups became larger ones, how cooperation scaled beyond blood relation into something closer to civilization. So, when did love begin? Not when someone wrote about it, not when the first ceremony was held or the first poem was pressed into clay. Love began the first time a prehistoric human sat with someone who was injured and chose not to leave. The first time a body was buried face to face instead of abandoned. The first time an early ancestor felt that specific, irrational weight, not wanting to exist in a world that no longer contained a particular person in it. That moment left no fossil. It left no artifact. But the neurochemistry it ran on is still active in your body right now. Love is not something civilization gave you. It is not a modern invention or a cultural construct. It is the oldest thing your species ever felt. And somewhere in the last 100,000 years, it stopped being just a survival mechanism and became the reason survival felt worth it at all.